Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we are starting our CCSP practice question series. Just like our CISSP videos, the goal is not to memorize answers. The goal is to learn how to think through the question and use the elimination method to find the best answer. Before we jump into today's questions, let's do a quick concept brush up. One of the easiest way to remember these standards is build, control, cloud, and privacy. Think of it as a ladder. 27001 builds security, 27002 controls it, 27017 clouds it, 27018 protects privacy. Let's quickly walk through each one. ISO 27001 is build security. ISO 27001 is about creating an information security management system, also called as ISMS. Whenever the exam mentions establish, certify, governance, management system, think ISO 27001. Simple memory trick is 27001 builds the house. Now let's go back to ISO 27002 control security. Once the house is built, you need security controls. ISO 27002 provides guidance on security controls organizations should implement. Whenever the exam asks which control should we implement, think ISO 27002. Memory trick is 27002 controls the house. ISO 27017 is cloud security. Now move that house into the cloud. New risk appears, shared responsibility becomes important, cloud specific guidance is needed. That's where ISO 27017 fits. When the exam mentions cloud controls, cloud security guidance, shared responsibility, CSP versus customer responsibility, think ISO 27017. Next, ISO 27018 is nothing but privacy. Now imagine customer information is stored in that cloud, specifically PII or personally identifiable information. That's where ISO 27018 comes in. When you see privacy, personal data, customer information, PII, think ISO 27018. Memory trick is like 27018 protects privacy. Remember this. Establish or certify an ISMS is 27001. Security controls 27002. Cloud controls 27017. Privacy and PII 27018. Also, other thing is 17, you know the teen, so and then 18 is like privacy with adult data. It's a small trick to remember things. Now let's go back to our question. Question 1. An organization is moving critical workloads to public cloud provider. Management wants to establish a formal certifiable information security management system or ISMS before migration. Which ISO standard best addresses this requirement? Now let's use elimination method. Let's first eliminate 27018. 27018 focuses on privacy and protection of personal information in cloud environment. The question isn't asking about privacy, so D is out. Next, eliminate B. ISO 27017. So 27017 focuses on cloud specific controls. The scenario mentions cloud migration, but the real requirement is to establish a certifiable management system. So B is out. Now we are left with A and C, which is 27002 and 27001. So 27002 provides control guidance and 27001 establishes and certifies an ISMS. The question contains three major clues: establish, certifiable, and management system. Therefore, the correct answer is ISO 27001, which is C. So whenever you see establish, certify, ISMS, think of ISO 27001. Let's go to the next question. A cloud customer wants guidance on which security controls to implement but does not need cloud specific extensions. Which standard should the organization reference? Let's eliminate the wrong answer. First, let's remove D. ISO 27701. ISO 27701 focuses on privacy management. Nothing in the question mentions privacy. Next, remove C, ISO 27017. The question specifically says cloud specific extensions are not required. So 27017 doesn't fit. We are left with A and B. ISO 27001 is the management framework. ISO 27002 provides the security control. The question asks which security control should we implement? That points directly to ISO 27002. So exam tips are like, if question asks what control should we implement, think of ISO 27002. Let's go to next question. A cloud specific provider, or we call it as CSP, wants to demonstrate that it has implemented additional security controls specific to cloud environments, including shared responsibility considerations. Which standard best applies? Again, we have options. Let's eliminate. First, let's remove ISO 27018. 27018 focuses on privacy and PII. Nothing here mentions privacy. Now look at ISO 27002. ISO 27002 provides generic security controls. The question specifically mentions cloud environment and shared responsibility. So A is too bad. That leaves us B and D. CSA CCM is definitely a cloud security framework. However, the question asks which ISO standards best applies. So the answer is B, ISO 27017. The key clues are cloud specific controls and shared responsibility. If cloud specific security is the focus, then ISO 27017. Let's go to the next question. A SaaS provider processes customer personally identifiable information (PII) and wants to align with an internationally recognized standard for privacy protection in cloud environments. Which ISO standard is most appropriate? Again, we have options. So let's remove A, ISO 27001. The question is not asking about ISMS, so it's out. Next, remove let's B, ISO 27002. The question is not asking about general security controls. Now compare C and D. ISO 27017 focuses on cloud security and ISO 27018 focuses on privacy, PII, protection in cloud environment. The key clues are PII, privacy, cloud. This leads us to 27018. Let's go to the next question. A cloud customer has already implemented ISO 27002 controls and now wants to enhance them to address cloud specific risk. What is the next best standards to reference? Again, we have options. First, let's remove C, ISO 27018. The question is about cloud risk, not privacy. Now remove A, ISO 27001. The organization already has controls. The question wants to extend those controls, not create a new management system. Now compare B and D. NIST 853 contains many security controls and is a strong framework. However, the question is asking about the next logical ISO standard for implementing ISO 27002. So ISO 27017 was specifically designed to extend 27002 with cloud specific guidance. Therefore, the answer is ISO 27017. So exam tip is like whenever you see 27002 plus cloud, it's like 27017. Before we finish, let's review our memory ladder one last time. ISO 27001 build security, ISO 27002 security controls, ISO 27017 cloud controls, ISO 27018 privacy and PII. Remember, build, control, cloud, privacy. Thank you for watching.